Harry's jaw clenched hard enough that the muscles in his cheek twitched. Responsibility? He repeated as though the word itself were an insult. I take responsibility for leaving a toxic environment. I take responsibility for protecting my family. I take responsibility for refusing to be the palace's scapegoat. Everything else? That's noise created by people who need a villain. Robin listened, unmoving. The audience watched her, watched him, watched the widening gulf between them. She kept her voice even. No one is calling you a villain. Harry, we're asking whether you acknowledge the role you played in how things unfolded publicly. Harry leaned back sharply, crossing his arms. The only role I played was surviving it. Michael blinked, visibly taken aback by the bluntness. Surviving. Man, you make it sound like you went through a war every day. Harry threw him a sharp look. Sometimes it felt like one. George tapped a pen lightly against his knee, observing Harry with the quiet sharpness of someone trying to read through the fog of emotion. Harry, he said gently, you've said many times that you want peace, but peace requires cooperation, dialogue, openness. When you shut down every question, it becomes hard to see the peace you're asking for. Harry scoffed. Right, and you think asking me the same things I've answered for years is your definition of dialogue? Robin didn't flinch. Then help us understand what you want people to stop asking about. Harry opened his mouth to speak, then shut it again. His gaze flicked briefly around the studio cameras pointed at him, lights burning hot, an audience staring with curiosity that now felt hostile. Something in him twitched, a quiet frustration bordering on desperation. I want people, he said slowly, to stop acting like I'm the property of a monarchy I left behind, Robin nodded. Fair. But the public isn't tracking you because of the monarchy alone. They follow you because you speak. You publish. You tell your story in new ways. And with each version, more questions come. Harry's voice dropped, sharp and low. Maybe the questions are the problem. Michael exhaled loudly. Man, if the questions are the problem, why show up to the place that asks them? The audience murmured with a mix of surprise and agreement. Harry's eyes flicked sharply toward Michael. Because sometimes you think people will actually listen, he said. You think they'll understand? But then you show up, and it's the same circus. Robin's patience thinned. Her voice lost its softness, replacing it with clean, unmistakable authority. Harry, we are not a circus. We are journalists. We ask questions because people want clarity, including your supporters. Harry stared at her, chest rising and falling with faster breaths. The hit landed, not because she was harsh, but because she was right. Robin leaned forward a fraction of an inch, controlled, steady, unafraid. You're here because you chose to be here. You agreed to speak publicly about public issues. That comes with pushback sometimes. Harry's jaw tightened. Maybe I'm done with pushback. Then be honest about that, Robin replied. Don't blame everyone else for what you chose. A ripple moved across the studio, soft gasps. Shifting seats, the tension swelling like a held breath. George held his hands together. Watching both of them with a cautious eye, Harry, he said carefully. It sounds like you're battling between wanting your story told and wanting the world to stop talking about your story. Which one is it today? Harry looked away, jaw working, fingers tapping rapidly against his knee. The question rattled him, cracked the surface. I don't know, he muttered. The honesty stunned the room. Raw, unfiltered, unguarded, Robin seized the moment not to attack, but to anchor the interview back to something human. That's okay, she said quietly. Not knowing is human. Confusion is human. But anger cannot be the only part of your story. Harry tensed again at the word anger. I'm not angry, he snapped too quickly. Michael let out a low sigh. Brother, everyone here can see it. And that's fine. But pretending you're not angry is just making this harder. Asterisk Harry's shoulders rose and fell again, breathing shaky now. The audience watched him differently, less like a prince on display, more like a man struggling to hold his own narrative together. Asterisk Robin softened her tone without losing firmness. Harry, you've gone through more than most people ever will, and you've spoken bravely about trauma. But right now, you're shutting every door before we even knock. Asterisk Harry swallowed hard, throat tightening. His eyes flicked briefly toward the floor. He looked like someone torn between defending himself and collapsing into the truth. Asterisk George leaned in slightly. What happened before you walked in today? He asked quietly. Because this isn't the man we met backstage. Asterisk Harry blinked, startled by the shift. The question wasn't accusatory, just observant. Human, asterisk. He paused, jaw working. It doesn't matter. Asterisk Robin shook her head gently. It matters if it's shaping what's happening on this couch. Asterisk Harry's throat bobbed. A tiny, fleeting moment of vulnerability crossed his features before he hardened again. I'm just tired, he muttered. Asterisk. Michael nodded. Okay, that's real. That's something we can work with. But being tired doesn't mean you get to treat everyone like an enemy, asterisk. Harry's head snapped up. Asterisk Robin spoke before he could react. Michael's right. We're not your enemies. We're not your family. We're not the tabloids. We're not the institution. Asterisk, then, what are you? Harry asked quietly. Asterisk Robin met his eyes. The people trying to help you tell the story you came here to tell. Asterisk, the silence that followed was heavier than any argument. Harry breathed out slowly, his body deflating just enough that the studio sensed a shift. Asterisk, he looked at Robin not with anger now, but something closer to confusion, maybe even recognition. I didn't mean for this to go like this, he said quietly. Robin nodded. No, none of us did. Asterisk Harry rubbed his palm over his jaw, suddenly looking much younger than his title. Maybe I shouldn't have come, he whispered. Asterisk George offered a small, sympathetic smile. Or maybe you needed to... Asterisk, the audience softened. Two bodies relaxing. Eyes shifting from judgment to curiosity again. Asterisk Robin placed her note cards aside entirely. Leaning in with sincerity that radiated across the room, Harry, you've talked so much about wanting understanding. But understanding goes both ways. If you want the world to hear you, you have to meet it halfway. Asterisk Harry nodded slowly. The fight was draining from him, replaced by a weary realization. Maybe you're right. Asterisk Michael smiled slightly. Hey, that's why we're here. Conversations aren't perfect. Neither are people. Asterisk Harry breathed out long and low. For the first time since sitting down, his shoulders lowered in something that resembled relief. Asterisk Robin offered a small, genuine smile. Let's try again. Not as journalist and interview subject, just as people. What do you need right now, Harry? Harry looked at her really, looked at her hand. His expression softened faintly. I need, he said, voice cracking just slightly. I need people to stop assuming the worst of me. Asterisk Robin nodded. Then let's start by showing them your best. Harry nodded back. For the first time that morning, the studio felt warm again. Asterisk.